Hi there, everyone, and welcome to the Daily Gardener, and thank you for listening. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling. It's November 2nd. Today we celebrate the Flemish artist who became known for painting floral garlands. We'll also learn about the English poet who wrote about the flower known as the traveler's joy. We'll celebrate the new month with some words about November. And we grow that garden library with a close look at gardens. 100 of them in an engaging book that travels to the world's most interesting gardens to analyze why and how they are designed. And then we'll wrap things up with a little story about the bladderwort plant, a rare insect-eating plant with pretty yellow flowers. Now, before we get going, I just wanted to share a few reminders with you. First of all, you can participate in the Gardener Greetings segment by sending your garden pictures, stories, birthday wishes, and so forth to Jennifer at thedailygardener.org. And I've put a link to it in today's show notes. And in addition, if you'd like to check out any of my curated garden news articles or original blog posts for yourself, you're in luck, because I share all of those with the listener community in the free Facebook group for the show, the Daily Gardener Community. So there's no need to take notes or search for links as you're listening to this episode. The next time you're on Facebook, just search for the Daily Gardener Community, where you'd search for a friend and then request to join. I'd love to meet you in the group. Here's today's brevities. Today is the anniversary of the death of the Flemish Jesuit brother and painter Daniel Seghers. He died on this day, November 2nd, 1661. Daniel was a marvelous painter based in Antwerp, and he focused mainly on floral still lifes, and his vivid work was a favorite among his patrons and the aristocracy. As a Jesuit brother, Daniel made no money from his work. That all went to the church. But in 1649, Daniel was given a golden palette and golden brushes from a Dutch princess in exchange for some of his work. Daniel pioneered the genre of flower garland painting, and his specialty was painting flower cartouches. Daniel's garland still lifes were especially popular in his home country of Belgium. A signature Daniel Seghers floral cartouche would feature these voluptuous swags of flowers and flower garlands placed around a religious scene or statue that was often depicted in black and white or muted colors. Now, these religious scenes were usually placed in the center of Daniel's paintings, and incredibly, they were all painted by other Flemish painters. By the time Daniel received the artwork, he would immediately set about decorating the work with flowers. Daniel's job was to create a floral tribute that added reverence, life, and excitement to the overall image. If you look at the garlands, you'll notice that Daniel added charming, realistic touches by adding beautifully detailed butterflies and incredibly realistic flowers. Daniel also took some liberties with the flowers. Tulips and peonies are in full bloom next to roses, iris, carnations, hyacinths, and daisies. For Daniel, bloom time took a back seat to lushness and color. Also, some of the flowers conveyed additional symbolic meaning. So for the sake of florography, Seghers painted the flowers he felt best suited his subject. Ornamental gardeners will find a special joy and satisfaction in viewing Daniel's masterpieces. And today is the anniversary of the death of the English poet and Irish bishop Richard Mant, who died on this day, November 2nd, 1848. Richard wrote a little poem about a wild clematis, and it happens to be England's only native clematis. In the 17th century, the herbalist John Gerard gave it the common name, the traveler's joy, Clematis virginiana. The flower has no petals, but offers 4 delicate, creamy sepals, along with a copious amount of stamens and carpels. Here's Richard Mant's verse about the traveler's joy. Most beauteous when its flowers assume their autumn form of feathery plume. The traveler's joy, name well bestowed on that wild plant, which by the road of southern England to adorn fails not the hedge of prickly thorn. Even today, in the English countryside, the traveler's joy rambles up hedgerows and trees, and then it drapes down from branches and thorns to offer a profusion of fragrant white blossoms that transform into architectural wonders in the fall and winter. Those flowers become feathery silver beards that flow from the seed pods. This is how traveler's joy ended up with so many common names, including old man's beard. Folklore says that traveler's joy was sent by the devil to smother the earth's plants by trailing all over them. Well, anyone who has grown this woody vine, a member of the buttercup family, knows that this is one tough and persistent plant. Not surprisingly, it's considered an invasive plant in many parts of the world. The poet A.E. Housman wrote about the traveler's joy in his poem, Tell Me Not Here, It Needs Not Saying. Here's what he wrote. Tell me not here, it needs not saying, what tune the enchantress plays in aftermaths of soft September, or under blanching Mays. For she and I were long acquainted, and I knew all her ways. On russet floors, by waters idle, the pine lets fall its cone. The cuckoo shouts all day at nothing, in leafy dells alone. And traveler's joy beguiles in autumn hearts that have lost their own. In Unearthed Words, today's words are about the month of November. This first one is from the American author and columnist Gladys Tabor, from her book, Still Meadow Day Daybook. Some of the days in November carry the whole memory of summer, as a fire opal carries the color of moonrise. And this next one's from the Canadian writer and author of the Anne of Green Gables series, Lucy Maud Montgomery, from her book, Anne of Green Gables. It was November, the month of crimson sunsets, parting birds, deep, sad hymns of the sea, passionate wind songs in the pines. Anne roamed through the pineland alleys in the park, and as she said, let that great sweeping wind blow the fogs out of her soul. It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, Gardens in Detail by Emma Roos. This book came out in 2014, and the subtitle is 100 Contemporary Designs. In this book, Emma shares 100 gardens from the world over with this illustrated guide that reviews and explains each design element. And here's what her publisher said about this book. Readers are led through the details of each garden and provided with the tools needed to understand and replicate each exemplary design, whether the site is rural or urban, a backyard or a beach, in any climate and on any budget. Each beautiful project photo is followed by a list of key concepts, numbered close-ups that highlight aspects of the design, and expert write-ups to explain how each element serves the garden as a whole. And here's what Gardens Illustrated wrote about Emma's book. A beautiful, engaging book that travels to the world's most interesting gardens to analyze why and how they are designed. This pick and mix book has the absorbing time warp quality of Pinterest. I finished reading about one garden and thought, I'll just quickly look at one more. But 20 minutes and several gardens later, I was still there. And I agree. This book is 400 pages of inspiring garden ideas. Emma's book is an invaluable resource for any gardener or landscape designer. You can get a copy of Gardens in Detail by Emma Roos and support the show using the Amazon link in today's show notes for around $25. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. On this day, in 1962, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram shared a story out of London regarding the bladderwort plant. Here's what it said. Botanists and bird watchers are fighting to save an acre of bladderwort plants threatened by plans for a new power station in Gloucestershire County. The bladderwort is a rare insect-eating plant with pretty yellow flowers. The Gloucestershire Trust for Nature Conservation is trying to persuade the State Electricity Board to shift the power station's location and leave the plants undisturbed. You don't find much bladderwort about nowadays, said Robert George, the chairman of the Nature Trust. It would be a pity to lose it. Bladderwort is remarkable. It's the world's fastest aquatic carnivorous plant, and it can react to and capture its prey in less than 1/10,000th of a second. Bladderworts are suction feeders, and they use small depressurized chambers that look like bladders to catch their prey. The bladders work thanks to a trap that's loaded with bristles. When a small aquatic creature touches the bristles, a trap door opens and the prey is sucked inside the bladder where it's dissolved and digested by the plant. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced in lovely Wyoming, Minnesota with the help of Paige Mant, Brooke Bierbaum, Kiana Rayleigh, Maddie Doyle, Natalie Decker, and Eric Begay. You can find The Daily Gardener on all your favorite social media. You can follow the show on Instagram, and listeners always have a standing invitation to join the free Facebook group for the show. Just search for Daily Gardener Community the next time you're on Facebook and request to join. All the stories and books that are featured on the show can be found over at thedailygardener.org, thedailygardener.org. And while you're there, be sure to sign up for my free Friday newsletter. Last but not least, you can share your own gardener greetings on the show by emailing me at jennifer@thedailygardener.org. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling, and as always, have a great day in the garden, and we'll see you tomorrow.